Shortchanged. Sabrina says that her friends are going on a picnic. Jughead has to be joking when he says he's brought ants. You'd think Reggie would be the one bringing them. Despite the fact that Reggie's friends are complaining about the fact that he's gonna tell an ego trip story about himself, somehow he still starts telling the story. Veronica says they'll go on the picnic without him. And Reggie thinks they're just jealous of him because he's richer and smarter. He says he doesn't care about their picnic, but Sabrina uses magic to see that he's heartbroken. Well, I'm still wondering why he's stupid enough to do stuff that he should know would annoy them. So she asks him to have a meal with her aunts today. So that's an obvious idiot plot because obviously her aunts would make magic obvious and she'd have a miserable time with Reggie. He clearly wants some rich guy meal she can't give him. Hilda magically feeds a goldfish she had for some reason and magically enlarges the size of the turkey. Isn't Sabrina scared that Reggie is suspicious of her for being a witch? Why would she invite him? She asks Hilda to change clothes, and the door keeps being opened and closed magically. Hilda says she's 700 years older than Sabrina and she's not going to tell her how to dress. Reggie gets sent flying to the floor, and somehow doesn't insist on finding out what that was. Sabrina lies that Hilda is going to a costume party. Reggie would have seen Hilda before. Didn't he in a previous episode? He thinks she's wearing a mask and touches her nose. He also laughs at a picture of her ancestor, and she wants to turn him into a toad. Reggie says an arrogant story at the table, and Hilda's annoyed and wants to put shrinking potion in the soup he's gonna eat. Hilda walks on Salem and accidentally spills the soup on Reggie, who says he's learned to be big about these things. Huh? He shrinks because of it. I don't blame Hilda for hating Reggie enough to use magic against him. He screams at seeing Salem try to eat him, and Sabrina says she can't let him see what's going on when it's obviously too late. And she puts the pot over his head and he runs around. He also keeps getting smaller, and he thinks this must be a nightmare. The show keeps forgetting whether he knows she's a witch or not. You'd think if she was able to magically put a pot over his head, she would just use the magic to turn him back to normal instead. He ends up on the sidewalk, and Dilton brags about his pointlessly rubber roller skates. Sabrina uses magic so he won't run over Reggie. Hilda reveals that her antidote for the shrinking potion works. I wonder why the Archie gang doesn't always go on picnics without Reggie. Jughead wants to use a fly swatter, and somehow he doesn't freak out at clearly seeing a tiny human walking around, and instead just wants to swat it. Then Hilda has him deal with a giant ant with a fly swatter, so they freak out and Hilda's able to cure Reggie's problems. Sabrina tells him that she thought they'd have a picnic instead, and he gets given some chicken. He lies that his recipe is better, and Hilda stuffs his mouth a lot. And Sabrina somehow asks her why she did that. She just made magic really obvious there. This story was an idiot plot where, despite seeing Reggie obnoxiously make up an arrogant story about himself in front of his friends, like Sadie and Antoine, when he should know they'd hate it by now, when they don't let him go on a picnic with them, Sabrina feels sorry for him and invites him to dinner with her, when it's immediately obvious Hilda will mess with him. And the only possible explanation for why he's not immediately returned to normal size by Sabrina when Hilda messes with him is that she'd have to aim a beam of magic at him accurately. And he keeps running around. Reggie was too annoying. It's a plot where Sabrina felt sorry for him, but we have no reason to. Because he's too stupid. Misguided tour. Archie and his friends are bored at having to do an annual tour of the museum with Grundy. Why doesn't she hear Jughead snark about her? Why does Hexer show up again? Sabrina has to babysit him again. He looks too old to be licking a big lollipop like that, and his outfit is stupid. He warps over to Grundy with Sabrina, who asks to say he's her cousin. Grundy says he has a soft, underdeveloped brain for some reason, and he uses magic on her, so it gets undone. If he really was her cousin, it would have made more sense that she had to babysit him. Grundy says there used to be a lion statue there, and Sabrina returns it to where it used to be. Why doesn't she temporarily remove his powers or freeze him in time instead of bringing him to the museum? This plot is forced. Grundy shows the teens a mummy, and I guess what Moose said was forced. He's smiling when the teens are laughing, so I guess he was intentionally joking. Hexter has some more fun. Grundy dismisses the mummy's curse as childish nonsense, and Hexter magically has a mummy scare her. But when Sabrina gets rid of the mummy, somehow only Grundy remembers it, while nobody else cares about what happened. Hexter accuses Sabrina of being ashamed of her heritage because she doesn't want people to find out she's a witch. Wouldn't he know that every witch has to hide their secret over here? I'm satisfied that Sabrina turned Hexter into a statue. It's still gonna be questioned by the staff at the museum. Grundy is confused and asks Sabrina for aspirin. Sabrina uses magic on the knight armor and wants him to watch Hexter. It makes him look like her, but for some reason, she doesn't make his voice sound like hers too. I knew it! Somehow Hexter is still able to talk, and he turns back to normal. Why on earth was the statue spelled temporary? This was the perfect solution to the problem. So was removing his powers so that he couldn't send Water the new babysitter twice. Why does this character keep showing up? This show really would have been better off consisting of much shorter episodes in each episode. My time is wasted by the knight sneezing because he caught a cold way too easily. And somehow he doesn't realize Grundy would be freaked out by his male voice. And why was this spelled temporary too? Why does he get his regular appearance back? Grundy hopes this is just an optical illusion and finds out there's nobody in the armor. The armor explodes because the ghost in it keeps sneezing, and she laughs hysterically and jumps around. Jughead snarks that Grundy really becomes part of the subject when she teaches it, as she's sitting on a totem pole she somehow climbed all the way up to. Hexter's thanked when he says he'll give Della a good report for no reason. Then Inspector Triplets, who are kids for no reason, show up here, and Hexter told them what a great time he had, so they want her to babysit them for a few days. So she goes crazy as I wish these characters with terrible voices never existed, because this is ridiculously sadistic and cruel to Sabrina. This horrible story was about Hexter abusing magic at the museum for no reason at all, beyond boredom, because Della had Sabrina babysit him, and not someone else, and somehow she was too stupid to just cast a spell to make him a statue for the entirety of the babysitting visit, or freeze him in time, or at least remove his powers. That witch wouldn't have a terrible time babysitting. This plot didn't work the first time. Both of these episodes were annoying. It's not like the only person that he was bothering with his magic was someone who really deserved it, like Reggie or Veronica. So it was just annoying, and I was confused that witchcraft wasn't being given away.